2N virtual class for the topic 2N Access Commander. Before we begin, I would like to share with you a few tips which may help you to experience this virtual class at the most. The first one is about your questions. You may ask my colleague Christian, which is available for you during the whole session, and will be able to answer your question even during the presentation. The second one, for the best experience, please maximize your window so you can see all the details, because besides the beginning with the presentation, today we are going to show you actually the live configuration of Access Commander and some of the best practices and maybe some secrets you didn't yet knew about. So it's already the time, so let's begin. Today, we are here to talk about 2N Access Commander, the software which will give you a possibility to maximize your experience with 2N Access control devices. This software gives you possibilities which makes the maintenance of the installation of 2N products much easier and much more effective. So, as I promised, today we are going to take a brief look on some details about the software, and next we will start directly with the live presentation. It will include the installation of the system, one of the possible ways how you can install the system. We will talk about how it's possible to keep your system updated, which kind of license are available for you, and how you can get them. And then we will continue with the basic setup, which will show you how to use the software to allow people to actually enter the door, and if necessary, how to restrict the access to a certain group of people, or to restrict the certain time to allow the access. Of course, the 2N Access Commander doesn't only offers the basic access control features, it also gives you a possibility to use some advanced features, which we will definitely talk about, and I will show you how to use them. So at the beginning, let's go briefly through this basic overview information. Let's begin with 2N Access Control portfolio. Just a quick summary. Basically, all 2N Access units products, which are the standalone readers, and most of 2N IP intercoms, basically all models which allows you a direct access to the door without need to call someone, are part of the 2N Access Control portfolio. Therefore, they can be added and managed by 2N Access Commander, which is also, of course, the part of this portfolio. The whole system is based on the IP technology. So to interconnect the 2N readers, 2N IP intercoms, or the 2N Access Commander server itself, you can use the standard network connections, which should be already part of the most of your buildings, or if you're building building new house or building, usually you already count with having a computer network, which is utilized by 2N Access Control. So let's take a look about a little bit deeper on the Access Commander itself. What is it good for? Basically, it's a software which gives you a possibility to more effectively work with the 2N units which are located on the house or on the building in general. It also offers, of course, some additional features, which gives you a possibility to create a different kind of users with a different kind of access file rights. Sorry. This also the software also gives you a possibility to it gives you the possibility to work with some kind of troubles here. It also gives you the possibility to actually monitor connected to an IP devices, gives you ability to be notified if something happens in the system, gives you even the ability to control multiple buildings and more and more. The software itself is actually designed to handle all kinds of the installation. Speaking of the size of the installation, from a small to enterprise size installations, even across the world, because using the IP technology, the system gives you an every basic and advantage of the IP technology itself. So the connection between the access commander and the devices on the locations can be done even remotely using the internet. Of course, you may ask about security. This is a pretty good question. All the communication access commander is using to communicate with devices is encrypted and shouldn't be a problem to have it established the connection over the internet between access commander and the units. Also, the access commander, among all other features, gives you a possibility to store the access logs or systems logs coming from all connected units, gives you a possibility to have up to 1 year of history of the accesses. Of course, this is something which can be used especially for some audits, or if some kind of situation needs to be examined, if something happens, someone is unable to enter, etc., etc. Besides that, as I already mentioned, the access commander gives you also the possibilities to monitor on simple one screen basic information about connected devices, and is also able to give you a notification using an email, which will make you more comfortable because you will be noticed if something happens in the system. You do not need to babysit the access commander each day, each hour, to be 100% sure that everything is working fine, because the system itself is able to give you a proper notification. Besides all those features, all those functions, Access Commander can go much further. It allows you to integrate with various third-party systems whenever it is used by the available REST HTTP API, or by using some inbuilt feature for communication with the directories or some VMS systems. We will talk about, I will show you some of the features actually when we are going through the settings of Access Commander. Speaking of logs, as I mentioned previously, you may get an impression, or you can get a question about how is it with the security of the stored logs. Of course, you can set a retention policy based on the GDPR requirements in your region, so the access commander is able to forget the records which are no longer necessary to be kept. So this can be set for various kind of the information the access commander is actually gathering. So let's begin with the installation. This was just a brief theory about the system. So let's take a look now about how to deploy to an access commander. Basically, there are two ways how to deploy to an access commander. One is physical computer. We are, of course, not going to talk about it today because it will be a little bit hard to show during the online session. We will use the second option, how you can deploy to an access commander, which is by installing it to the virtual environment. This kind of installation has its advantages. As you will see during the installation, you do not need to be an IT expert. Actually, you can deploy the software without knowledge of databases, without any knowledge of operating system and stuff like that. Basically, all you can do is to locate the file with Access Commander. So if you visit 2n.com webpage, and navigate to the support and software. You can filter for IP access control and access commander, and all you need to do as the step one is to download the appropriate image for the virtualization. The virtualization which are used or supported are Hyper-V by Microsoft, VirtualBox by Oracle, or VMware. Those three kind of virtualization are commonly used. They can be used either in enterprise environment or in the even in the small office. So today we are going to show you how you can deploy your downloaded access commander to the VirtualBox by Oracle, because this one is easy for installation even for your office laptop. So first step, of course, is to have installed the VirtualBox, the standard exe file for Windows, and for other systems, appropriate installation file can be downloaded from the Oracle web page. Once it is installed, all you need to do is to download the access commander itself. Once the download finished, depending on your internet connection, you can continue to deploy the system. How to do that? Let's see. This is an environment of the Oracle itself, so it's a pretty nice, neat application. And all the stuff you need to do is to import your downloaded file from to a web page. So by clicking on File Import and choosing the file, it gives you a possibility to upload it and import it into the virtual platform. A moment, sorry. Have to locate the file actually, but it is downloaded. Once you locate the file, you can continue by next. You do not actually need to set anything in here. You can easily import the downloaded file without setting anything. All the stuff which needs to be prepared for the virtualization is already done by 2N. So no need for special settings, for a long installation. As you can see, this is live installation. It's pretty quick on the standard Office laptop. So that's it, and basically we have an access commander installed. You may ask why there is no executable file for Windows or some bin files for other operating systems. It's simply because this way we can deliver all the settings done. You do not need to bother with connecting the database and stuff like that. You basically do not need to know how the system is actually built. All you need to do is to download to an access commander, import it, and start it. After you start it, the system will boot up. As you can see, there is some Linux operating system running in the virtualization, but you do not need to be bothered by that. All you need to do is to actually only wait till the system boots. So as you can see, the installation, the deployment of the access commander is kind of quick. If you prepare before you go on site, you can have the file downloaded from the web page on your flash drive, and you can easily import it to the deployed virtualization. The virtualization itself usually is a simple program which can be installed as any other programs. Or even in the enterprise size solutions or installations, you can import the specified virtual image for the appropriate virtualization. So nowadays, almost every bigger company use the virtualization. It saves a lot of money. It gives a possibility for better backups of the crucial software. So access commander can be easily added to the platform which, for example, the customer is already using. Let's take a look. Meanwhile, the 2N access commander actually started. So all the important stuff we can see here that it already has been assigned an IP address. In the DHCP environment in the network, you do not need to actually care about this situation because access commander is prepared to accept the IP address offered by DHCP, which is not the only option. Of course, you can use a static IP addressing, but for today's demonstration, we choose the quicker solution using the DHCP. All you need to do to access the configuration of access commander is to remember on which IP address it actually is available. So in this case, it's 192.168.50.81. Don't be bothered by this message because Access Commander, when you make a fresh installation, is using self-signed certificates. This means that your web browser will just give you a warning that the certificate is not signed by the certificate authority. Of course, it can be. It's a fresh installation. So in this case, when you are accessing the web page of Access Commander for first time, you need to put the exception and allow the web browser to actually access the web page. As you can see, all it happened in a really few minutes. So Access Commander is now deployed. You can easily start configuring it. The default login you use to access the 2N Access Commander web configuration page for the first time is admin, as in short for administrator. And the password is number 2 and a lowercase letter n. So let's go. As you can see, due to the security, the software is asking you to change this password. It will be unwise to keep the software which should handle your access control to keep it on the default password settings. In 2N with 2N devices as well as with Access Commander, we are actually not giving you an option to do this kind of mistake to make your system vulnerable like that for any kind of simple attacks. So every 2N device or 2N software is asking for a password change after the first login. So let's try it. Let's set some more secure password, which should consist from at least 8 letters, one uppercase letter at least, and numbers are required for the password. Of course, you can use password which will be more secured. Otherwise, the system will not accept any. The password requirements are like a minimal requirement. Of course, it's better to use some special characters, not real words, etc. The next important stuff which you should set in here right after you deploy to an access commander is an email address. Please do not underestimate this. This email address is going to be tied with a user super administrator or admin, as you could see. And without working email address, in case you forget the password you set for administrator user, the admin, you won't be able to recover it. So it makes sense to use actual working email address as a step 1, which needs to be done. After you do this, there is and user license agreement. I encourage you to go through it. It's pretty important to know about your rights. And after you accept it, the access commander will let you in. So this is how access commander looks like when you deploy it. It gives you right from the beginning few important information. There is a possibility to contact 2N in case you are, let's say, happy with the software, but you are missing some feature, or you think that some feature which is already in the system would be good to improve. This is not a form or feedback communication channel. for technical issues. It's if you have something in mind which would help you to use the software for your better comfort, or for some usage which you really miss. If you go to the give feedback, it will guide you through the feedback process. Don't worry if it disappears. You can always find it in the main menu of the user. In here, as you can see, is a give feedback which will lead you to the feedback form as well. It's pretty good to know about it, as it will give you a possibility to let us know what features you would like to see in the software. Well, so let's continue. The next information the Access Commander is giving you is an information about your license. The license policy in Access Commander is kind of simple. The Access Commander has a few types of license, beginning with basic to unlimited. So the first step after you log in should lead to install a license. The license needs to be ordered. If you just want to try the system, you are free to do that and welcome to do that. Your system will be running on the trial license. If you check in the settings, it will gives you an information how many users you can install in this trial license, how many users can have some special role to control some parts of the system. Because not only admin can log into the Access Commander, and you can assign specific roles, which we will talk about a little bit later, and also how many devices you can currently connect to this installation of Access Commander. This is the trial version. Most of the other features are also available. You will also be able to see some kind of overview which kind of licenses are actually available. Okay, for some reason my web page went to German, so let's switch to the English. And in here you can see the differences between each versions. Basically, each version differs about which features, advanced features are available, how many users you can have in the Access Commander installation, or how many devices can be connected to it. What is important to know that the first license, the basic one, is free for use. So you do not need to buy it. Anytime you want, you can activate the basic license without requesting it. So all Access Commander installations can be switched. Of course, you need to mind the limitation of the basic about how many users, how many devices can be connected, and which features are available. So as we are going today through the advanced features, you will be able to see what the Access Commander offers, and that to use them, you need some special kind of license. The important information about licenses is they are lifetime. You buy them, you have them. There is no need to actually renew the license each year, etc., etc. So once you buy the license, you have it for good. Each Access Commander supports this kind of license model. The second step you should do after you check and choose the license you want to use, whenever you want to try some features using the trial, whenever you want to go with basic because you are satisfied with the features and number of stuff you can connect into it, or install some paid license, you should set up the Access Commander to be able to communicate via email server. This is really necessary. As I mentioned previously, and I can show you if I log out, there is a forgot the password button. This button doesn't work if you do not have the proper email communication set in Access Commander. That means that you can try, but it will never give you a password change possibility unless you completely set up the email communication, which consists of the filling in the proper email after the first login, and as a second step, to actually connect Access Commander to some email server. Access Commander is a client, so it doesn't have the ability to send the emails on its own. It needs to be connected to some service, such as Gmail, some Exchange server, company Exchange server, or whichever web email service you actually prefer. So let's take a look. For example, if we want to go to set up to an Access Commander to connect over the Gmail, it basically needs to fill the information the Google itself gives you. It allows your applications or devices to utilize their features. So as you can see, you just use all the information that Google provides you with. One information about Gmail and the password. You are unable to use the password you are actually using for logging into the web of the Gmail. This is not possible. You have to create an app key or app password as for the security policy of Google to make some third-party application such as Access Commander to actually use the Gmail services. When everything is set up, you are able to send the test email. And since there is no error message, the email has been successfully sent. So now we should be able to see that we set everything properly. The email server is configured. So in case I forget my administrator password now, I can easily recover it using the email service. Of course, without it, it may be difficult in some kind of offline installation, but usually you can utilize the company email server as well, not just the third-party email service. So this shouldn't be actually a problem. So this is about the second message, third message, the licensing. This is about the best practice, what to do first when you deploy Access Commander, which features are actually important to pay attention to since the beginning of the installation. The next very good stuff you may find in the newly deployed to an Access Commander is a tutorial or wizard. You can easily see some basic steps what needs to be done to set up an access to let people in or keep them out if needed, and it gives you an overview of the important features. In this case, this is just a really quick tutorial. You can always access the manual which is available into a wiki page under the access control and access commander configuration manual web link. The manual respects the version you are using, so you can switch, but we really recommend to always use the latest version. This is kind of important because every Access Commander, doesn't matter which license it is on, is able to update, which is the next feature, which is really good to know about, is to check whether your system is up to date or not. After you deploy Access Commander, if you are not sure, feel free to visit the settings page and check for update. The system will contact to an server and gives you a feedback whenever there is new version available or not. Yes, you need an internet connection. This is actually required. You cannot update to an Access Commander without the internet connection. There is no offline firmware or software package which should do that. To update Access Commander, you need to actually use that internet connection. In case your system is secured with some kind of SIP proxies, it is good to fill in the connection so the Access Commander can actually use the company infrastructure to securely or more securely access the internet. Besides that, as I mentioned, we use DHCP for assigning an IP address for the Access Commander, but once you are in the web page of Access Commander, you can easily change it to your desired configuration. So basically, you can set it from the web interface. Alternatively, you may use the virtualization terminal access, which is this black screen you saw previously, to access the similar kind of configuration. So in case there is no DHCP during the deployment of Access Commander, you can easily log in to the system running below the Access Commander with username root and the password similar to the, or basically same as default password for web interface, number 2 and lowercase letter n. It will also ask you to change this password. The system will never leave you to keep your installation without the proper security. And the first step to have the system secured is to not use default password. So it's pretty wise to actually do also this stuff. Besides that, you can find the network settings in here. Again, you don't need to know anything about the Linux. All you need to know is how to log in and how to, and in here you can choose to change the network settings. So in case you need to do this first, it is available, so you can deploy Access Commander even in the environment where the IP addresses are not assigned automatically by the DHCP server. There are also the backup feature and other stuff, which, however, is currently available on the web page. So it makes sense to first set up the access to the web page and then do the rest within the Access Commander web page itself. It's much more comfortable. It gives you some additional features. For example, with the backup feature, you can easily create a backup of your configuration, and once it's done, you can even download it to your computer and keep it somewhere safe. This makes actually a sense, because if you want to keep your system safe, you need to keep backups. As you can see, the Access Commander locked me off because to make the backup properly, the system needs to shut down first, then create the backup of your configuration of your settings, and then it lets you log in again. As you can see now, it changed the Access Commander, created the backup. It gives you an information on which version it has been taken, and it gives you in here possibility to actually download it. The file is stored within the Access Commander itself, the virtual machine in this case, but of course you can connect some shared folder over the network and store the backup right there. Besides, you can make the whole process automatic. You can choose whenever the Access Commander will backup daily, weekly, or monthly. So you can make sure that the system is always backed up with most recent data. The backup itself is to an Access Commander application. So anything you configure here in this web page will be backed up, and you can simply restore it in case something happens. You know, the power outage can damage computers beyond repair, but if you have a backup, it's good for you because you can establish very quickly, as you could see, new installation of the same version of Access Commander, and using this file, you will simply use the restore feature, upload the file here, and voila, you are continue using the system without not long interruption. This also, Access Commander also gives you a possibility to set correct time and date settings. It's pretty good, especially if you are going to use all the advanced features of Access Commander. It can gives you the possibility to allow remote connection to the system, which should be used carefully because due to the security, the remote access to the access commander system is actually prohibited by default. If you want to manage it remotely, you need to enable it in here. Well, that's about the basic steps, basic stuff you can do with Access Commander right after the installation, which HR actually recommended because it gives you a possibility that an option that your system will be safe. It will keep the configuration you are going to do saved somewhere, backed up. And also gives you a possibility to re-access the system in case you accidentally forget the login name to your administrator account. So now let's take a look on what actually needs to be done to set up an access. First of all, you should connect devices to the access commander. As you can see on the left in the menu, it's divided to sections. The first section, user management, is tied to the users and the stuff around them. The access management is about devices and creating an access rules. Then you can see the section extensions, which gives you a possibility to use some advanced features, as well as there is a system setup option we already saw. Right now, to give you a maximum let's say possibility to see maximum features, I will upload the license, which is the step I recommended, of course, and I will use the license. As you can see, the license has been added. There is some important stuff about this license. It is always tied to the one of the connected devices. So if you ask for the access commander license, this hasn't been told yet, you need to choose one of the two an IP intercom or to an access unit and give us or give your distributor its serial number, because we cannot generate the license without knowing this one device serial number, and this device needs to be kept connected to this access commander. So let's take a look how we connect the device actually. So we go to the section devices. On the top right, you can see this button, new device. It gives you a possibility to fill in manually an IP address or a domain name, full domain qualified name of the device to an IP device, of course. Or if your devices are located on the same network, subnet especially, as this installation of Access Commander, you can click on the search device button, which will quickly scan the specified subnet the access commander is in, and gives you a list of 2N devices which responded. So as you can see, there are multiple devices. Of course, the devices does not need to be in the same subnet. As I mentioned, Access Commander is able to connect even over internet if the root to the device is available, or if other stuff like port forwarding or VPN is established between Access Commander and the device. In this case, we are just connecting devices in one subnet, because for that we can use the scanner. So I marked 3 devices. The prerequisite to connect all of them at once is that all of them are on the same password. So in this case, I know the password and I will be able to create them. And voila, as you can see, all 3 devices has been added, because I also added the device which has the matching serial number to the serial number which has been used for license installed in Access Commander. This device has a special icon here, key, the key which indicates that this device is important for Access Commander license to run properly. As you can see, I added other devices and the Access Commander, because I didn't specify the name of the devices, it downloads the name of the device is already set on the units. That's the thing. You can install Access Commander very successfully, even on the networks or installations where you already use 2N devices. Where you already have users created in 2N devices, because when you just connect those devices to the Access Commander, only this first step you do, nothing is erased from the units. So Access Commander only at this point establish a connection to the devices, but it doesn't do any kind of modification to the device configuration, especially the users. So, in case you are not actually going now with a clean installation, if you are deploying Access Commander on the site where 2N units already exist, it can be done. And you can I can quickly show you how you can actually use this and, for example, download the users which are in the units. So as a first step, after adding devices, you need to decide whenever you want or don't want to use users already created in devices. Because 2N Access Commander will take control over a directory, and all users, unless they are created by my2N cloud service, will be erased from the device. So imagine you have 500 users already in device, and you want to make a quicker deployment of Access Commander. It's also possible to use an Access Commander without creating all those 500 users or more, actually without any effort. You just import them. I will soon show you why, because I mentioned 500 users. You may wonder what is the performance of the Access Commander, how quick is, how many devices it can handle, how many users. This is pretty actually a good question if it came to your mind, because Access Commander minimal hardware requirements, if you are going to use a virtual machine, is and we are going to speak about Windows operating system used as the host system, is at least 8 gigs of RAM operation memory. The reason is simple. Access Commander itself, for its minimal configuration, requires all of 2 gigs of operation memory, only for itself. So, if you wonder, whenever your Windows 10 or 11 can operate with only 2 gigs remaining, if you use the computer with only 4 gigs of operation memory, the simple answer will be not much. And the total performance of the system will not be actually slowed by the Access Commander itself, but the Windows will be so slow below the Access Commander that it won't do any good. Look, in this laptop, I'm running Windows 10. I deployed the virtualization on those Windows. I use the laptop for many more stuff, many more softwares which are installed. And with at least 8 gigs of RAM, I can clearly say that Access Commander can operate without being slowed by the operating system, and operating system is responding pretty nice. You may try with less than 8 gigs of operation memory for your installation, but it's really not recommended. Yes, Access Commander only takes 2, but you need to keep in mind that the system which is hosting the virtual platform also needs something to operate smoothly. Speaking of it, the next hardware requirement is a hard drive. We recommend currently using at least 500 gigs drive. Again, Access Commander can eat up to 120 gigs of the hard drive, but without proper enough space, the operating system may run out of the resources as well. So it's wise to look a little bit ahead. To keep you can try with 250 gigs drive, but let's be honest. If you are going to deploy the virtualization on the Windows, let's rather go with 500, because you never know how much space it may actually eat. So I can say that the minimal requirements or recommendation to running Access Commander smoothly is a system with 8 gigs of operating memory and 500 gigs hard drive, and you will have no problem. In this minimal or recommended installation, the Access Commander can connect up to 2000 to an IP devices. Yeah. The minimum hardware requirements for Access Commander gives you this kind of flexibility and opportunity to use the system even on the not as small installation. So basically, the system is fully optimized for middle-sized installations. So even with the minimal required hardware resources, it's pretty powerful. So if you wondered what hardware is good to use for the installation, this is the way to go. Of course, in the manual, you can read this information. You can see some examples for 200,000 users and stuff like that. So you can easily see which kind of hardware will be required for your installation. But let's continue with this. This was just the beginning. Let's continue with the deployment. We have other devices. That's nice. So now we have connected two AP intercoms. One is to an IP force, one is to an IP verso, and one is to an IP style. What we can do actually is that we can actually manage the firmware deployment. It's a really good step after you start to connect devices to an Access Commander to be also able to update devices to latest version. To an Access Commander, there is a feature called automated firmware management. This gives you a possibility based on the type of the 2N IP device to deploy the firmware version. So as you can see, if we open the details of the IP force, you can see it's running on firmware 234, which is currently not the latest one. So while we are running latest version of Access Commander, it is more than recommended to use the proper version of the firmware installed in connected to any units. The Access Commander can currently tolerate two older versions of the firmware. So in this case, we are on the edge. This current version of Access Commander can go with 234, 235, and 236, where 236 is the latest firmware available for the devices. So as you can see, the Access Commander has pretty kind tolerance for the firmware. If you are going to use any newer or older firmware than Access Commander supports, please be very aware that using it is not wise. And if you connect such device to the Access Commander, the Access Commander will deactivate the unit after the connection, giving you an information that you are trying to connect the device with incompatible firmware. You can overcome it. You can go to the device's compatibility. In here, you will see which incompatible firmwares has been detected. Currently none, because I have all the device on correct firmware versions, and you will be able to allow it, but it's all on your risk. When something is incompatible, it is really not wise to let it connect. Unless you really know that you need it, you shouldn't do that. And that's why the Access Commander is protecting itself, that it's automatically disabling any communication with incompatible firmware installed on connected to any units. So, well, be really patient. But let's go back to the automated firmware management, which gives us the possibility to deploy the firmware. As you can see, I have only 3 devices, so well, piece of cake. I can do it manually, device by device. But imagine I have 2,000 devices I mentioned previously. It won't be such good to go device per device and install the firmware, right? So why is this feature here? You will easily either test, get the information about the firmware version. You can test it on some specific device, or you can choose to distribute it. When you choose to distribute it, the system will ask you one more time if you are really sure. If you do that, the system will start deploying the firmware among the units. In this case, 3 unit, as I said, piece of cake. If we are going to talk about hundreds, thousands of units, a really necessary feature. So don't forget that Access Commander can give you this ability to easily manage the firmware distribution among the connected devices. Let's take a look. It takes a while. It needs to upload the firmware. The device needs to reboot. What we can do is we can check the system log for the information what is happening in the system. This is pretty nice feature, which gives you also an information about what's going on now. It gives you an information that new firmware has been detected. We changed it, and the system started to deploy the firmware automatically. Then the device was unreachable because it rebooted after the firmware upgrade, and now if we take a look on the device itself, it's running the latest firmware we deployed to 36. So as you can see, it's fully automated. Once you choose to deploy it, it's good to go. There is only one restriction with this feature, which is if you connect device manufactured with newer version of firmware that you set here in the firmware automated firmware management, such units cannot be downgraded. So if you keep 236 and you get new device with 237 in the future, for example, this device will never be able to go below the version it has been manufactured with. So it will give you here an error that one device failed to upgrade, downgrade. Don't worry. It is not an error. You should update your Access Commander and deploy the 237 to all other units. Simply keep your system updated, the whole system, not just the software, not just one device. You always should update the whole system instead of preferring some parts having version inconsistency among the installation. It gives you a better performance of the system. Of course, Access Commander can handle a few versions. This is no problem, but it's always wise and recommended to keep your system updated. So we have connected device. Yoo-hoo. Now I mentioned that Access Commander is actually a system which may be deployed for simple single installations or some multiple installation for multiple customers, multiple let's say branches of one customer, or for one building, for example, with multiple multiple companies in one building. Sorry. So to actually do that, the Access Commander has an entity called companies. Of course, it can be companies. It also can be some parts of one company if you want to divide them. The important stuff is that the user created in each company cannot see or interact in the system with the user from another company. So let's say if you will have some supervisor who manage his staff or her staff in one company, it won't be possible for such a supervisor or user like that to manage users from different companies. So this is like a separator to keep users divided. So let's rename this my company, which is the default company in every Access Commander. Let's say for TUN Telecommunications. Let's do it in our language. Okay. Okay, so I name it by our company. So here we go. And then I can start to create users. However, it is maybe better to not start with users, but go with groups. I will explain. Every user needs to be part of at least one group. For you to make possible for such user to grant him or her an access to the door. You cannot create rules for door access directly for users. You can always do it for groups. So it's good and wise to decide how you can divide users to which group. Of course, it will be easy for, let's say, door access, to have a possibility to have one group for all. So let's set to an all group. Here we go. So in here, we will have, let's say, all users, and we will use this group to grant every person who belongs to that group to the entrance door, because usually the main entrance should be available for everyone. Usually, of course, there may be exceptions, but this is just an example. So let's say in our scenario, everyone in our company can actually access the entrance door. So to make it simple, we will create a group for such kind of, for every user in our system. I can also create a user only for managers. So there will be possibly some areas in my scenario which will be only available during for a specific group of people. Managers. Let's go with managers. Okay, and we can create, for example, some offices. There will be some kind of offices, so there will be a people which should have an access to the part of the building which contains the offices. After we decide, you can always adjust it. This is just for our scenario. So we can start with the users. You have multiple ways how to add users in the system. First of all, you can import them from freshly connected devices. I already mentioned that. For that, it is wise to actually to choose the device which should contain all of the users, usually the main entrance. So I will go to company, I will go to data import, and I will use the first option here, user import from device, and I will choose the VIP entrance. I will click on OK, and not always it may actually be possible. There is some issue with the device settings. Sorry for that. So I choose simply a different device. And I should have now users. So I have multiple users which were originally present in the device, not in the access commander. So I grabbed the users from existing installation and import them to the access commander. Of course, I need to add the users to respective groups. The import will just get the users from device, nothing else. So to actually make possible in the future to add someone here, we should choose users and add them to the group. So let's say into one all should be all, but this is just an example. As you can see, you can pretty quickly clean up the system. Do not worry, even if you are using a system administrator and use the choose everyone, this one will be excluded. So you are really safe that you will not delete it. So as you can see, the user has been successfully imported from the device. This may happen only if you just add the device and don't do anything else. You shouldn't set any quick dial buttons. You shouldn't create any access rules with this device in the zone and groups with users. Otherwise, the access commander will rewrite the users which were created manually in the device. Only exceptions are users from my 2N cloud service. So this is the first way. You can create users two ways actually. You can create the users manually. You can import users from device. There is also a possibility to import the users from the CSV file. So if I choose this, it will gives me an opportunity to choose a CSV file, which loads the information about the users. So as you can see, the user CSV imported user to reflect which feature has been used will get imported. Of course, there can be much more, 10,000 users, 20,000 users in the CSV file, doesn't matter. This is CSV import. It is located in the company settings. It's actually limited in some ways, but it gives the job. It does the job to import the users from predefined CSV file. If you wonder how should this CSV file looks like, it's right below it. There is a sample CSV file download. So if you wonder what's the format, coding, and stuff, how the CSV file should look like, feel free to use this sample file and use it to create the list of the users you are going to import. This feature, these data imports, both of them actually needs to be done manually. You need to actually click somewhere. So its usage may be limited. It requires you to log into the Access Commander and use it. There are more features how to actually get users into the Access Commander. The Access Commander, as I mentioned, has a lot of advanced features, and with handling the users, you can use some kind of integrations to make your life easier. Let's say you are installing an Access Commander and to an access control system in a company environment. The company is running some kind of directory services for people to have an access to their computers. This is actually good because Access Commander gives you an opportunity to connect with the LDAP protocol to the directory service. So as you can see, the Access Commander can utilize this connection to download the users from the directory service. This brings a few actual advantages. So first of all, let's set this connection first. So you need to know the IP address of the server. Let me check if I choose the correct one. You need to know exactly which server are you going to connect to. So this is it. You need to choose proper username to log into the directory service. In this case, well, the kind of login name can be quite, let's say, strange than you are used to, but your directory administrator should be okay with that and should be able to give you a proper information which kind of username you should use to connect your software, in this case to an Access Commander with the directory service, and which settings, in this case the base DN, needs to be set to properly access the users in the directory. This is something which will vary. In this case, I'm using the example we have prepared for this session. So in your deployment, it may be different. As you can see, once you prepare the configuration, you can validate its connection. So it gives you the information whenever it can successfully connect to the server. If it can, you are halfway done. You save the settings. Now you have established the possibility of connection with the directory service. All you need to do is to tell the system how it should identify the users within this. So basically, for our example, we need to fill in the rest of the path where we can find users in the directory. Again, this should be possible to handle with the administrator of the system. And you can specify on which attributes the Access Commander can find the parameters such as email, phone number, and stuff like that. Again, this can be consulted with the directory administrator. For example, if it use different field in the directory for keeping card numbers, you can fill it here. Once you have it, you can also basically make Access Commander to not only synchronize the user from the directory, but also automatically put them into the appropriate groups. This makes your life easier. Once the new employer is added to the directory system, the access commander can synchronize with it, and based on the groups in the directory the new employee belongs to, it can automatically set up the connection, the access rights, which door can be accessed by the user and stuff like that. We are not going to connect it completely. Just take a look. To do this, you need to synchronize group membership to enable this switch, which is in default switched off, and you can add it in here. So let's say, and we can validate again. It has been set up correctly. We can go with import now. Let's see if it happens, if I did it right. Of course, it's quickly set. But right now I can see there is already some new users. Voila, that's great. ID user, let's say the directory user 01 and directory user 02, which is good. So we were actually able to synchronize the users for the first try. And we can see that this member, for example, this ID user 01 has some image, which has been also downloaded from the directory, and it's already member of the group 2NO. So good, the system put this user directly to the 2NO group, which means that once we finish the configuration between groups and the devices, zones, this user will automatically gain an access to a specific area. So let's do this. This is the, let's say, second option, how you can synchronize it. There is a third one in the system settings called synchronization. It's basically do the similar stuff as for the directory one, with one difference that instead of using the directory, you will be actually able to synchronize against some more complex CSV file than we used previously for import feature, with much more stuff possible to configure. And what more, both the CSV synchronization and the directory, the LDAP connector, can be set to actually synchronize periodically. This means that you does not need to click anywhere. Let's take a look back to our settings for LDAP connector. And here you have periodical import time. So you can set that once a day at better 4 a.m. The system will synchronize. It can be once a day, once an hour, once a week. So you don't need to touch it. You don't need to click anywhere in the access commander. The access commander will synchronize against the system. It will disable user if they are disabled in directory. It will erase the user if you set it to do that. If the user has been removed in the directory, it can keep it here. It can just disable it or follow what has happened in the directory and delete it also from the access. So this gives you a possibility to control the user creation from the directory system. And basically integrate the two and access control into the company environment pretty tightly. Well, speaking of this, we still, however, don't give an access to the people. Let's do this. Let's finish this. To do that, the users, of course, needs to have some kind of access credential. Whenever it's card ID, phone number, some fingerprint, some PIN code or QR code, or even a license plate can be added. So basically, you can allow an access for the cars using their license plates. So you can install to an access control system even on the parking lot and interconnect it with the camera to see which car, which license plate is actually on the car which is coming. Well, so you need to put some kind of credential to the user. It's done in the user details. You can go to the phone numbers to assign number or edit. Right now you can see this has been imported. So let's take a look on different user, same stuff again, right? So Basically, this needs to be done for user to get an access somewhere. They have cards or other kind of credential, make a call from IP intercom, have a filled phone number. Those are really two important things which is good to fill in to the user based on which kind of feature you want to use. And of course, the user needs to be added into the group to make the further configuration possible. The devices, we already added them, we have them here, but right now we cannot say that our group of happy users, which are currently members of the 2NL group, can access some door. They still can't. It's simple because we need to create an access rule. To do so, we need to put a device in the zone. Why is that? You may ask, why should I put users in the groups? Why can I say that just, I don't know, Mark Hill can access the main door and stuff like that? Well, I mentioned previously that the system to an access commander is actually designed to be able to be installed from small to large enterprise kind of installations. What if I tell you that if you are able to set up access for one person to one door, you actually learn everything about setting 10,000 users to 5,000 door. Because the principle how you set the stuff to make an access is the same. So that's why it may seem ridiculous that for one person you need to add the person to the group to make that person access some door. But in the big picture, it makes the access commander very easy to set up. You learn it, and now you are able to do any kind of size of installation using to an access control because you already know how to set up the access commander. Well, so that's why you probably asked that previously. I forgot to give you this very important explanation. Well, let's continue. We have added devices, we have users in group. Two of them are in 2NL, good for us. And we want to give them access, let's say, to VIP entrance. Okay, so because these users are the VIPs, so let's go. But 2NL actually is everyone, so it doesn't matter. So we need to create a zone. Basically, the zones will, how to say that, put together devices which we plan for to use the same kind of accesses. So for example, if we have a main entrance and VIP entrance, and in this case, okay, it's maybe sound ridiculous, maybe bad example, sorry for that. And we want everyone from 2NL given access to both devices. We will add both devices to the same zone. It makes it easier, the next step, to tell that 2NL users which belongs to group 2NL have unlimited access to devices which are part of the entrances zone. In this case, access commander actually kicked in, and if we check the devices now, and if I'm not lying, it's important, we will see our AD users in here. You remember I imported users from a main entrance device. So in this case, all the users which has been previously in here are gone, unless the users are created by a mobile video service from my 2N cloud. But in this case, there are none of such users. So the access commander took over this device and will only permit the users which are defined in access commander or the my2n. In this case, only access commander because device is not connected to the cloud. So as you can see, this device contained like 20 users previously, and now it's synchronized based on the my configuration because I told the access commander that onto this device, only members of 2N group can have an access. because the device belongs to this entrance group. Of course, if I would like to divide which people can access which devices, let's say I will create a user manager. I will do it just manually, add this person to the managers group, for example. And I will choose in my zone entrances that I don't want the same people to access the VIP entrance and the main entrance, but only managers will be able to access. So I remove the device VIP access in this case from the zone, create own zone, say VIP zone, and add the device to this zone, to VIP zone, right? Then I go to access rules and tell the system that only managers can have unlimited access here. What will happen? I will take a look on the VIP entrance. I don't need to access the device, and maybe I should explain what I'm doing. And the device details, it's a neat trick. Usually you would open on web page and access each device separately, but you don't need to. You no longer need to do that. You have list of devices in Commander. You can open the device details, and there are a few buttons, and one of them is pretty good because if you click it, it's called configure device. It will open the configuration interface of the device itself. Sorry, I didn't explain sooner, but you probably wondered. Maybe you got interested in it. So as you can see it right now, the ID users which were previously here are gone because I said no, not all can access this VIP entrance, only the managers, and the only member in our example of the managers group is the user manager. And the rest of the devices are for cloud service, which maybe sooner or later will be other live virtual classroom. We don't know. You may be interested in it, but right now just take it as it is. These are users from cloud, so they are here, but from Access Commander only manager made it here. So this is it. This is how I divide who can access which door through the zones and groups and the combination of them in the access rule. As you can see, there is a pretty nice access matrix which gives you a graphical overview which group of people can access which devices in which zones. So what you can do if you want to restrict it by time. What about say okay? Let's say it's the VIP access, but let's be nice. And on Mondays, let's give also the to and all to be able to use this VIP entrance because managers are not in the work. It's Monday, so they should rest after the weekend they spent hard work anyway. So in this case, we should consider that we can add a limited access to all people using this VIP device, the VIP entrance. This is pretty nice and easily can be done using a time profile. If I go to the time profiles, I can create a new one. Let's say the limited access for VIP entrance, so I can identify it pretty easily. And as I said, during the Monday, during the working hours from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., we will let those people to access it. So first we create a time profile. Good. Now we go back to the access rules, choose the group to and all, go to the VIP part and choose time profile. So setting this will allow everyone from to and all to access the VIP entrance on Mondays from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Other days no longer possible, so no one will know, and this is it. This is basically how you can set even the limited time for people to use some door or some entrance in this case. Also, the access matrix gives you, as I said, pretty nice overview. Even from here, you can create new groups, you can create new zones. So those button on top, almost top right? Are able to make it easier without switching to different parts on the left side. So this is basically how you make the basic configuration of Access Commander, the letting people to access some door. You also learn what is actually good to configure before you start using an Access Commander. There are other very neat stuff you can use, of course, with the appropriate license. As I mentioned, if you want to use some of the advanced features, some access, for example, using Bluetooth, you need at least advanced version of Access Commander. If you want to use the LDAP connector, you need another version, etc. All can be learned in the license overview, which can be accessed from the Access Commander. Let's take a look on some kind of the features we are talking about. The dashboard. The dashboard is pretty nice feature which gives you pretty overview of the system. You can put widgets. We are familiar with widget system from other operating systems or other systems. You can even choose to monitor a device. As you can see now, I connected to live stream of the device to VIP entrance. It's a real device. This is not a fake. And I can kind of control it. For example, I can switch between cameras. If the device is connected to external camera, I can switch to it. I can open the device settings, but there are other good stuff I can do. I can open the device. So as you can see, the device, oh, well, you have to trust it, but the device now opened the door. So even from Access Commander, I can open the door using this door widget. I can also keep the door open for a certain amount of time. So as you can see now, the device are holding the door open for 10 minutes, counting down. If I want to cancel it in the middle, let's go. Now the door are closed. So basically, I have a widget to control the doors and see the camera image from the system. I can handle or see some overview. Most of the widgets have a possibility of filtering, so you can change the name of the widget, of course, but most importantly, you can change what is shown by this widget. So why to see that if everything is online? It doesn't make sense. You have 2,000 devices, for example, very big installation. We appreciate it, and you just want to see if there is some problem. Well, or situation. Let's not say problem. Let's go with situation. The situation usually involves the device is offline, or the device is incompatible firmware, or is disabled, so it's inactive. If I do this, I'm still seeing nothing. So let's create something. Let's, for example, disable the maintenance target, and we can see that right now it kicked in. I can see in the first look. And there is some situation with this device. Besides that, I already mentioned the system can notify you. The system, once you properly set the connection to email server, which really was an important stuff, can also send you an email about the device is offline. There are some security issues. You have issues with license, some issue with situation with Access Commander itself is happening. There are a lot of type of notification. So take a look. Let's take a look which kind of notification we have. Of course, I can choose all of them, but there are a lot of predefined events. One thing, you can only use the predefined events. Currently, you are unable to create your own event, but mostly almost everything is covered in the predefined event. So, for example, if you have the synchronization with the directory itself set up and for some reason it fails, you can be notified. You do not need to check every night or the morning that if it went right. You can just set a notification, and if it happens to fail, you get an email. So most time of the year you will get no email, but in case something happens, you will see it right away. No need to check the system all the time. Well, some system messages about license. Again, if periodic backup fail, again you get notified. Very important stuff. If new version is available of the Access Commander or firmware, or if some, let's say, issues happens with the firmware upgrade. There are a lot of messages you can receive, but in most cases you won't be spammed by the access commander, but it's good to know that you can actually be notified. So really important, please connect your access commander to some email server. Okay, so this is it. We have access commander, we have connected device. We will set up, let's say, some monitoring. So let's say we want to monitor all devices, so simple switch. No need to check all hundreds of thousand devices. If in such kind of installation, of course, with 3 devices, it won't be a problem. But you know, I don't want to know some kind of information about the updates. I want to see if there is an issue with the backup, and of course some notification about issues with situation on device, like someone didn't close the door properly and stuff like that, which can be configured on that one device without an issue. But it's wise to set up the notification in the access command, not in each device one by one. Again, for 3 devices, go ahead, but don't do it with hundreds of units. So let's do this. So right now, this one kicks in. Of course, I need to tell who should be informed. In this case, probably I want to be informed as a system admin. So let's do that. And right now, it's done. You do not need to click save. This is one important information about access commander. You'll barely see a save button. Basically, access commander saves the settings as you go. So as you change something, it is saved in the system. So do not worry about this. Well, so now my system will notify me in case of some of those events will happen. That's fine. I don't need to check the commander anymore. Well, as an administrator, I would not like to do the basic agenda that the company hired new person. So let's do this. Let's start. This manager user will be able to do it by himself or herself. So we will put him some rights in the access commander. Of course, not all. We don't want this person to mess up with the configuration of the system, but we want to make his job and our job easier, of course, as well as an integrator or installer. And we want to make sure that it works properly. So this way we can make them to work with that. In access commander also, or with to an access control, you can also grant given access not only to doors but also to the floors. There is a possibility to interconnect to a device with the lift control or relay controller and connect this controller to the lift control panel. So if someone, let's say, use its cards or Bluetooth or whatever credential the person can use, the really specific floors only will become available for that person to press. This can be done using some special license in device, which is called lift license. Let's take a look if we have some device here, but we can see that we actually do lift personal. We have, so let's connect to it. It's normal access unit, in this case version 2, equipped with the lift license, as I mentioned. Okay, good. I remember the password correctly. We can see that the device is still in the range of the firmwares which are supported by our access commander version. So we can easily go to the go to the configuration of the lift actually. To do so, first device needs to be equipped with the license. So we can check the device itself. In the device settings, we can check if it has the license. It seems lift control support, yes. Okay, good. And we enable it. This basically should be fine with the gold license in the device. So probably most of your devices would be enabled like that. Be very careful about that, as it can make the configuration of the device kind of different than I showed you previously with door access. The lift-enabled device has this icon in here, as you can see, the lift control support once you enable it, and it cannot be normally added to the zone. So if I go to the zone, would like to add it, I am not seeing the lift device here because the configuration of the lift access is kind of different and needs to be done different way. The way is that inside the device itself, we need to connect it with this access relay module. In this case, it means that in hardware settings of the device is lift control section, which connects you to the control relay. The relay basically changed the IP communication to the standard analog communication using the relays, the shorting the circuits, which should be compatible with almost every lift or elevator nowadays. So we can tell that it should be all right, that we are compatible with all of the stuff. The next thing we do is we specify which relay is connected to which floor in the lift controller. Right now, this needs to be, this information needs to tell you the guy or the person who physically connect the wiring between the relay module, the Axis A9188, and the lift controller. They need to tell you, okay, I connect the relay 1 to allow access to ground floor. I connect the relay 2 to access the first floor. This information needs to be shared between the person which was connecting the lift physically and the actual person who configures the access commander. In this case, once you do this, you can easily name it for better identification in the access commander, and you can basically tell which people can access it. Basically, by assigning a zone which have some kind of access rules set. So we know that if we add the entrances to the floor 1, the zone entrances, it will allow every person from 2 and all group to access that floor once they use their card or PIN code, Bluetooth, fingerprint on the device located in the elevator or the lift to one device. It may be a little bit, let's say, confusing. So maybe better practice is to create a zone floor 1, zone floor 3, zone floor 4, and assign the rules in here for each floor. It's better for the overview which people have access where. Well, you can combine the existing zone, but really it's maybe better practice to create for each floor a separate zone and create a special access rule for each of the floor. It's better for managing it. Of course, when you create a new user, you have to not forget you need to add the person to that kind of floor to give the person the access. So this is it. Besides that, in Access Commander, you can easily set up to which person, which number, which button, for example, on to an IP intercom will make a call by simply open the device details, go to the quick dial buttons, and assign to button 1, because this device is equipped with only one button at this moment, to assign to which users, when someone press that button, the IP intercom should call. You can also set up a display. So basically, if the device supports the display, you can configure who will be displayed on it whenever it's a group of users or just some kind of single users, etc. So the display can be also managed from Access Commander. And of course, you can handle the visitors. If you have visitors, if you want to create a temporary users which will have an access to your system for a limited time, up to 30 days, you can use the visitor management. The visitor management gives you the possibility to quickly create a record of the person who's coming to visit either the residential or the commercial building, to tell which person is going to be visited, and also you can give some specific access rights to that person to, for example, access the main lobby gate, so they can wait inside for the visited person, etc. Basically, it actually substitutes the guest book from the commercial residential object buildings, giving it a full electronical appearance, actually. So instead of writing everything on the paper, you can have it here. There are few special benefits. You can send that person the PIN credentials or QR codes by email. So even before the person arrives, the person can have the QR code for using an access using to an IP style, for example, if it's installed in the building. You can also can see to which parts of the building the person entered as a kind of visitor's access log. So this also gives you the possibility to use one card repeatedly for different users once the previous user returns it, etc., etc., like a standard visitor's stuff. So besides that, some specific camera logs which gives you a possibility to save an images during some specific situations. So let's say if someone enters the code or if license plate is recognized, it should add the photos from the IP intercom or IP camera connected, and many more. Unfortunately, we are kind of running out of time, so we would like to have also some time for your questions, direct questions, if you want. So we covered the basic installation of Access Commander, some of the advanced features. We were able to take a look on some features which may be interesting from the access point of view, etc. But please understand the Access Commander becomes a quite complex system already. So the number of features we can take a much longer time to discuss it, to go through it. It's become a really piece of brilliant software which can deliver a lot of access features, including the attendance stuff, giving you a possibility to track how much time the people spent within the monitored area, etc. And those features are still going to be improved. That's why we mentioned at the beginning the possibility to actually give us a feedback. So if you go with Access Commander, if you go with Twin Access Control, we are very happy. And we also are happy to hear about your thoughts about the features you could utilize and use. Also, I would recommend to visit the Twin Academy. It will contain this video recording as well as it contains some e-learning courses, which will give you an opportunity to learn or repeat something which has been told today here. Also, don't forget you can download your Access Commander and try on your laptop, as I did today with my office laptop. So feel free. You have a trial license. You can go through some features. We also show you some possible integrations. Again, there are much more the Access Commander can as connection to VMS system to fill them with the access information to be shown directly with the video recordings, etc. There is powerful API which gives you basically a possibility to connect Access Commander with everything you want. Everything your programmers can program, so you can do your own integration, etc., etc. Sorry, it's really too much, but I think we went through a lot of interesting stuff. At least we check what's important to do when deploying into an Access Commander, what needs to be remembered to do. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really happy you visit us today, and hopefully we may meet later on during some other session. And now, if we have some questions still, or maybe my colleague will tell me. Let me check. I will probably stop the sharing now. Yeah, yeah. Good. So we will take a look on the questions which remain unanswered. First one, I hope you will don't mind if I actually read it for everyone, because it may be interesting for other people as well. So the question is, for having a high availability installation, we have to use high availability tools of the planes with exactly. The Access Commander itself actually does not gives you a possibility to mirror the installation. It gives you a possibility to do the backup. During today, I showed you backup is really important with Access Commander. If you, however, want to make some other kind of let's say duplication of the machine, you should use the VMware or the virtualization platform tools themselves. However, again, the Access Commander, if you do the periodic updates, if you save the periodic updates to the network drive, if you occasionally download it to your computer, you are basically able to restore the configuration within 10 minutes. Well, within 10 minutes since you begin, of course. You deploy fresh virtual machine, you log in for first time, boom, you go and you upload the file for recovery. Done. Your system is running again. If you want some kind of automation, like if one machine stops responding on the network, there is no integrated stuff in Access Commander for this. So yeah, you need to use external tools, definitely. And have some server, but be aware, don't have two Access Commanders connecting to one device. It will confuse the devices. You make sure that the servers are not having a connectivity. Both servers are not having the connectivity, and especially in virtualization, they shouldn't have the same MAC address. Okay, so is it okay for this question about the high availability for the installation? I hope yes. If not, please let me know. And meanwhile, I will go with another question. So another question is, will extension be shared during this? Would you like to know how visitor management and attendance for a multi-company? Yeah, actually, questions about the specific configuration for a visitor management and attendance for a multi-company, it's a question which is not sadly part of this virtual class, because let's say it may take a while till we get all the required specifications. However, it's a good point. You have a good question. I think this is something. If you don't know exactly if 2M product in general can do something, if you're not sure, we have tech support. We have tech support. We have on the 2M web page also the chat service. We have also tech support service, customer service chat. We have possibilities in this case to connect you with the people which should get this answer for you. So as for me now, it is not possible to do this during the class, but we can arrange some session we agree on over the email, or if you contact the tech support and do a session which we will try to show you how you should configure whenever the system is capable to do what you need, the first thing, and the second, how to do that. So for such kind of question, I'm sorry, not possible to show you today because we have limited time, but the day is not over. I mean, your options are not over. You can contact the tech support. You can. I will probably share again for a moment with you. Here we go. Okay, now successfully. Sorry for the late beginning during today's session. Really sorry about that. If you go to the tour webpage, well, the tour webpage is really a good start for everything. Every question you're looking for, this is really the good start. Let's go to the support. Let's go to the technical support. Okay, and in here you can see a way how to contact the technical support. You can chat with the technician each day, each working day, from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., excluding tomorrow. I'm sorry, I have to inform you tomorrow is a bank holiday, so sorry for that. You have the phone numbers you can call. You can reach us probably, well, not now. It's almost over to 5 p.m. And you can send us a contact form in case you missed the time for contacting us directly to talk with the tech support. Using this contact form, it will give you a possibility to write down your request, which will be processed, and you will be contacted back by the technical support representative, and you can agree on some session, for example, some meeting, I mean by call, and stuff like that. So do not worry to use this to write down your question, write down your specification of the situation, and you can leave this note to us, and it will be processed and you will be contacted back. So that's for this question. I hope it satisfied you, even it doesn't give you the straight answer to your situation. I hope you will be able to solve it with us later on. Any other questions? Anyone? Currently, I see all chat questions answered. The rest of the questions as well. But nothing new is coming at this moment. So I hope you got all the answers you were looking for. I am very happy again that you participated on our virtual class, and I hope to see you later on other virtual class. Or okay, we have one more question. Really almost at the end, so I will answer this one and we will finish. Uh, uh, so yeah. So if I install to an IP version with IP phone D7A, I need a licenses. Actually, no. You will get the call with the video. You will be able to open the door from the D7A. It's just well, it's kind of not related to Access Commander, but I think this is also a good example of question which can be asked through the forum or chat with the two-end support. However, I think for the base functionality, the calling with video, video preview, opening the door, you does not need any license. So this should answer this conclude this session. And it was nice to see you. I wish you to have a pleasant rest of the day, and of course, the rest of the week. Bye bye.